Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. If you have joined us for any virtual trainings before, you'll notice, obviously, we're on a different platform now that my dear, sweet, wonderful CVR is no longer with us. We held a short ceremony last week. Anyway, so this is a ZoomGov meeting, not a webinar, which is the ZoomGov's version of the live event function that we've been using in CVR all these months for our virtual training. So the ROEs are different. I'm going to go over some ROEs that will help just sort of streamline what we're doing. I am hearing in the chat that the quick guide link in the email, people were having trouble with that. If you go to the HQ Rio website, I'm going to share my screen. I'll show you how to do it here real quick. HQ Rio website. All right, click on the quick guides right here, which pulls up this page. Scroll down right here, myPers orders request, and that pulls up the myPers orders request quick guide. Okay, so if you aren't able to get to it from the email, I apologize. Gov Delivery does that as a redirect, so maybe people are having issues with that. But the quick guide is right there. All right, so let me get started here. Title slide, right? It's not an official training if I don't do a title. New myPers orders request system. The system is going live now, actually, but officially starting Monday, this is how we want you to request all your orders. We've been doing this with attachments 2 and 3 for the last few months. Thank you. But and a big thanks to all the members who are assigned to DET 2 and 3 and those orders writers, because they've been kind of the guinea pigs for this. And we've learned a lot. We've made some really cool enhancements. I say we, like I'm not doing anything. That's Mr. Keel and all of his amazing people in the OWC. As well as myPers making this system work. And I'm telling you, it's really cool. I haven't been able to use it yet because I'm detachment 5, so I've never been excited to request my own orders before, but not gonna lie, kind of am. So first, let's go over some rules of engagement. If you hover over your own picture, or you'll see a little 3-dot menu. If you click on that, one of the options is to rename your ZoomGov. So what I would really like you to do is to rename it according to that example. So put your detachment, so DET 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, and then you know after the hyphen you can put your name on there, however you want to be referred to. Because joined us for virtual trainings with the Q&A on CVR, it's nice and easy to see the replies to your questions because they're nested. They're sort of set. So this is how we are ensuring that that multiple orders writers aren't answering the same question posted by one person. So the DET 5 orders writers will answer questions by DET 5 members, etc. So if you don't rename or can't rename, we'll still try to answer your question, but don't be surprised if it kind of gets not ask questions. Pretty intuitive, pretty easy, and I very well may answer your questions here in this briefing. So just hold off and pay attention to me. I always like to say I came into public affairs for a reason. I'm a glutton for attention. So give me your attention for the briefing and the live walk questions as best we can. That's going to help us out. So again, if you can go easier for our orders writers to answer your question. So first off, I'm just going to talk to you about why Rio's decided to do this, what it has affected, and then I'm going to actually go into myPers and talk you through it. So you can see me do it live on screen. Do have to give a shout out to Senior Master Sergeant Chamase from myPers, who's on the phone and emailed this morning for a while trying to get my myPers account set up to a point where it's not going to show a bunch of PII. So big props to him. He's changing this. The purpose of their orders requests was to make it easier for the IRs. And by the way, I didn't introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Aaron Carl. I'm the Public Affairs Officer for Headquarters Rio. I've been in this job since January 2020, but I'm also an IMA. So I kind of straddle both worlds, the Rio, the IR, that encompasses IMAs.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. This is Sergeant Joe Wason. Ma'am, your audio is coming in.
And PIRR. But you know, our whole vision here at Headquarters Rio is to make it easy for you to serve, and we've been working on all sorts of amazing improvements. So the purpose of this is to make it easier for you to request your orders, but it's also making it a lot easier, as well as the orders writer staff, to make it easier for them. They're working in the admin panel of ERA, so this is cleaning everything up for them. Also make trackable. Somebody's not muted, so if you could please make sure that you're, I appreciate it. I don't have a way to fix it. I will try to maybe slow down a little bit, but we're going to have to kind of roll with what I've got. I'm inside the ARPC, so we're just going to have to do the best we can. Yeah, I'm hearing the audio is not clear. Okay, and make informed decisions. Okay, the goals of all of this: consistency, continuity, trackable analytics, and transparency. And the biggest part about transparency is you're going to be able to see the incident created in myPers, track it on for your request. So that leads us to what problems we've been doing all along. Go into Arrows and put your request in, and then there's usually substantiating documents or additional documents like a special tour request form or a rental car rental. And as the member, you wouldn't really know if they had been received by the orders writer staff. The orders writers would need to then attach those and keep track of all of those email attachments and make sure that they had everything to push an orders request through. And honestly, because the Arrows R request is not particularly intuitive, a lot of times the requests the orders writers received were not great. Actually, you know what? I wonder if that would, I'm thinking I might be able to use the audio on my phone. And in Arrows, you have to CAC in, unless you're one of the lucky people who still has a username and password. So with myPers, you can CAC in or do a username and password. So you won't have to worry about CAC connectivity to do an orders request. I'm going to pause for a moment and come back to the meeting just to see if, all right, holy cats, 47 new messages. All right. Okay, so I'm going to pause here for technology. Hold on one second. So there is a dial-in option, which I think was on the email. Hold on. All right, guys, hold on, because I don't want to do this training if you guys can't hear me well. So let me pause for a moment, and I will put the dial-in number if people want to do that. I may also try and do my call in and do my audio over my phone and see if that comes in better, okay? Looks like some people are hearing me fine. So stand by for just a Okay, here's the dial-in information, putting that in the chat. Yeah, some people are saying if that the video, if you turn off the video, that might make it easier for you to hear me. You're going to want to, the whole point of the training is for you to see what I'm doing. So if you want to do the audio off your phone and the video from your computer, that may make it more clear. But some people are coming in, hearing me just fine. So I don't think the problem is on my end. So I'm not going to change what I'm doing. But for those, okay, so good. Hopefully we can move along and press. So if you're having trouble hearing me, I recommend that you call in from a phone and listen to the audio that way, and then keep the video on your computer. Okay? All right. Let me get back here to my slides. For those of you just joining, you could change your name, put your detachment first, and also please hold your questions toward the end, because the chances are excellent that I'm probably going to answer a good portion of them here. All right, here we go. Okay. So by switching to myPers, this is a much easier submission method. It's a dynamic form. It asks you questions. When you answer the questions, that will prompt you to do certain things or not prompt you to do certain things based on what you answered. It's much more clear and intuitive than the wording and the setup that the Arrows R interface provides. Also, one of the big issues, as I said previously, was that our orders writers would have to go back and forth between email and Arrows to make sure they had everything needed to legally cut you a set of orders. Things like the annual tour special request form, or sanctuary waiver, or rental car request. Those three things, if you need them, you're actually going to create them in the submission. It's too cool. All right. So myPers will allow you to either, for things that can be requested within the dynamic form, like those three things, the rental car request, sanctuary waiver, and @surf. But if you have additional documentation that you need to provide, like the FCAL or reporting instructions or anything like that, you just attach them right into the submission. So when your orders writers receive this incident, they have all the stuff they need there attached to it. And then if they need to reply for more information to you in the incident, you reply back to them, provide additional documentation as needed. And all of that is trackable. That's one of the great things about the myPers incident system, is we track how and see if people have worked your ticket or not, if it shows updated. The orders writers can vet the request and make sure they're correct, ask for any additional info, make sure the whole orders request info is correct, and then what's going to happen, this is the major change between what we used to do and what we're going to do now. They will go into Arrows and submit your request, okay? Because then they're not going to have a bunch of bad requests or incorrectly inputted requests by the members in Arrows. For them, when they see all of these orders listed on the back end in the admin panel of Arrows, they're all going to be viable working orders requests. As I said, myPers is accessible without a CAC. You can set up a username and password. And the instructions for that, there's a quick guide on smartphone access for myPers, which is related to your username and password. And as I said, that dynamic form allows for things that used to be separate PDF documents and signatures and emails and attachments. They're all going to be done just right within myPers. All right. So but here are the steps that would happen before, and I'm hoping looking at it this way will make it more clear to you what's changing and what's not. So when we needed to go in to request a set of orders, we would CAC in, or if you're lucky enough to still have username and password access to Arrows, but you would get into Arrows and you would put in your request. And then if you had supplementary documentation, you would email that to the orders writer cell of your detachment. There would sometimes be numerous emails back and forth between the orders writers and the member to clarify anything for the orders or to get additional documentation. Once it was ready to go, then those orders are routed and approved, and we would go into Arrows and we could view the tracking of the orders in progress. If we needed to download those orders, save them, or print them, we do that in Arrows, right? And then for short tours of 30 or fewer days, we use the Arrows Tab C, the Tour of Duty certification that became mandatory last December. So these three things that have just turned red, those are the steps that are changing. So what I want to point out to you is that once the request is ready to route, we're still going to go into Arrows because they're still routed and tracked in Arrows. So if you want to see where it is in the tracking process, just like we have before, you'll go into Arrows. If you need to download, save, or print, you're still going to do that from Arrows. If you need to certify your short tour orders, you're still going to do that in Arrows. The only thing that's changing with this myPers request system is how that request is vetted and is ready to start the rest of the process. All right? Because here's the new version of our steps. We are going to go into myPers and fill out the orders request, and we'll attach any documentation. The orders writer and the member would clarify anything back and forth through that single trackable myPers incident. Once the orders writer knows that all the information is complete and accurate, they will go into Arrows R and input the orders request. Then it routes for approval. So those last three steps haven't changed. It's still routed and approved in Arrows. We can still track it in Arrows. We can print and save it from Arrows, and we can certify our short tours in Arrows. Here's some other, little kind of a clean-up slide, right? The dynamic form asks for things based on your needs, what you answer. So if it's a telecommuting order, then you can upload your telecommute agreement. If you are going to request a rental car, then it will show you the rental car request form. If you're not requesting a rental car, it's not going to show that to you. If you are within the sanctuary window, you will do the sanctuary SOU, the Statement of Understanding, within the request. But if you're not, it's not going to even give you that option. So it's very, very intuitive and predictive. It's a one-stop location for all the docs and information. So there's no more, well, I emailed it in 2 weeks ago. Well, I can't find it. Well, maybe you sent it into the wrong org box, or maybe you emailed it in to a particular orders writer and that person's been on leave for 2 weeks, okay? And you're going to be able to go into myPers and see the movement of the incident or reply back and give any clarity. But all that stuff, the requests, the information, and any attachments are one incident within myPers. The incidents are viewable by the other orders writers, so they can back each other up. Instead of you emailing a particular orders writer, unbeknownst to you, they're out of pocket for a few days, that email is just going to sit there. But if you reply to the incident and somebody's out, one of the other orders writers can go in there and move forward with your request. This is the big reminder. You have got to make sure that you have a good personal email address in myPers, and I'll show you where that is, how to do that. You need to make sure that the personal email is in your profile, and if needed, if you know you've got it in there, but you still don't get updates to incidents from myPers in your personal email, it might be going to spam. in which case, if let's say you've got Gmail or Hotmail or whatever, you need to go into your Gmail account and whitelist anything with a .mil extension. And that way it's going to make sure that those things hit your inbox and you see them. So after all of this training and the quick guides or whatever that we're going to do today, where do you go to get more information? Maybe you're not going to request orders for another 6 months and you're going to brain dump everything I say to you today, which is totally something I would do. Always, always, always start with the HQ Real website. We completely redid this website a few months ago. It's much easier to find the information that you need. The training video from today will be edited and posted onto the training tab, where there's a bunch of other training on there as well. Click on that orders button and click on the different tabs. There's a ton of information about what to do. And we're going to be going in there this afternoon and updating, request information and changing all of the websites so that it reflects the new myPers system for everyone. The quick guide is available where all the other quick guides are on the website, and all of this is on the Rio Connect app as well. Okay, so let's go back here. So for those of you who might have had a hard time getting to the quick guide with the link that was in the email that was sent out, if you go to the HQ Real website, click on quick guides, that pulls up this page. This is it right here, myPers orders request. When you click that, this is the quick guide right here, okay? So what I am going to do, let's see if it kicked me out or not. Okay, you should be looking at myPers right now. I want to point out a few things. One, here are your incidents and messages. So if you want to see what's been going on in your myPers account, that's where you go. Change password, that's where you're going to want to go if you don't know what your username and password is. myPers can be accessed by username and password, and you need to have that set up so that you can access myPers on your smartphone. You could literally put in an orders request from your phone if you have a username and password. The My Profile, that's where you're going to go to make sure that the alternate email is a good personal email for you. So, and just to make sure you understand, there are some messages that are sent out from us, from other entities in the Air Force that are only going to go to your .mil email. But any updates for these incidents, anytime there's a reply back from one of our technicians or whatever, you should get an alert, a myPers message in your personal email. If you don't, and you do have a good personal email in your profile, those messages are probably getting blocked or going to spam, and so that's why you're going to have to go in and whitelist those. Okay, when you go to myPers, these are the 4 topics that you need to remember. If you have something related as an IMA or PIRR related to pay, travel reimbursement, medical documentation, or orders now, you start here at the IMA Management tab. Don't go to incidents and the email us thing. This has the links to the specific dynamic forms needed. When you go to IMA Management, here's some general information about individual reserve program. Here's your medical. That's where you're going to submit like your updated dental form. Here's your travel reimbursement request link. This link right here, Rio Reserve Pay, that's where you're going to go for your long tour submissions, leave numbers, anything related to any correspondence between you and the Rio Pay office is going to come from the Rio Reserve Pay request. Those links are there. No, I don't need a chat assistant, but thank you very much. Okay, here's the orders writing cell request. So orders writing cell documents and resources are here, but this is the new thing that we're going to be messing with today. And I realize there's a little lag, especially because I'm on a government computer, and if you are, there's probably even more of a lag. So I will try to wait a few seconds. So if you are following along on the quick guide, I am now just about to do step 4 that's on page 2 of the quick guide. These are the initial steps that are the same regardless of the type of order. It's important that you understand that any type of order, MPA, RPA, school request, AT, IDT, travel reimbursement for our members with critical AFSCs, all of these orders requests of any kind are going to be initiated here in myPers. You are not going to request orders of any kind in myPers. Now, the quick guide doesn't cover every type of order, But to be honest, as intuitive as this is, as long as you have the guidance from the more commonly used types of orders, you'll be able to figure out how to do the other stuff too. All right, so I'm going to do a new orders request and hit next. So it still has my address in, so if anybody wants to send me flowers, that's the address where you do it. This is really, really an important step, and here's why. If your home of record is not accurate, and our orders writers cut your orders with the wrong home of record, you can't mod orders for that. And all of your travel entitlements are going to be messed up. So the only way to fix it is to cancel those orders and route a new set. So this address verification, this information is pulled from MilPDS. So if your address isn't right in MilPDS, then it's not going to flow over. If you do need to correct it, this is a good example of this dynamic form. Is your address up to date? Yes, then it's going to give you more questions. If you say no, okay, then it's going to tell you that you need to update your address in virtual MPF. Don't scan over this information. This is important stuff you need to know, all right? It will link you right here to virtual MPF. Oh, you know what, Adam, I'm just noticing that is the old AFPC secure link. We need to get that one updated. All right, I'm going to go back because that is my home. All right, so when I say yes, then we're good to go as far as my home of record. And then you're going to tell them what status you are. Now, if you are PIRR, you're here. IMA, which I am an IMA. The reason these are broken apart here is if you select IMA, then I have to confirm that my readiness items are complete. And here I have to confirm that I've completed and scheduled or had my AT waived, basically my FY requirement. But if I'm a DoD civilian, I'm not going to answer those questions because they don't apply to me. If I'm PIRR, it's only going to give me the readiness one because they don't have an FY requirement. And we have members of HQ Rio staff who are AGR who are going to be using the system too. So that's why there's an AGR and RegAF button. So, but the vast majority of you are the cool IMAs like I am. So I'm going to say, yeah, I'm ready, green to go. And yes, I've completed and scheduled my AT or waived it. And have, you know, basically what it's asking is, have you scheduled it before May 31st? And have you put in your UTEPS requests before the beginning of the new FY? And here is Colonel Bailey's Commander's Expectation Memo. If you haven't read that yet, it's linked right there for you to see it. Okay, next. Now I'm going to tell it which arrows are orders type I'm going to use. Again, when there's wording here, you need to read it. I am so guilty of trying to skip through this stuff, okay? Orders requests need to have a detailed explanation for the request along with following documents. Sanctuary waiver, if applicable. If you're doing an MPA tour, they're going to need the M4S task ID. If you're using funds other than the RIO or detachment funds, you need your funding authorization memo or a telecommute agreement. Now, the rental car justification, there are some types of orders requests that will happen within this myPers request. There's a couple where it doesn't. The quick guide will tell you. This is where you're going to tell it whether you're telecommuting. So we're going to say no, I'm not telecommuting, okay? And then I'm going to select annual tour because let's be honest, that's probably the most common one. I am now going on to step 9, or excuse me, I have completed the initial steps of the quick guide if you're following along. So the first, the way the quick guide is organized is you have the initial steps, which are the same for all types of orders. And then you're going to use the quick guide. Then the next page says annual training. That's 2 pages long. If you're doing RPA or ADOS orders, that's the next page. So you'll then kind of split off and go to the page that's applicable to the type of order you're requesting. All right. So again, this is just talking about your fiscal year responsibilities, splitting, that kind of stuff. So this is where it's going to be telling you when you're going to need the special request form and when you won't, all right? Now, this right here, what you're doing is saying, yes, I've talked to my supervisor in my active component unit, and he or she has given me approval to do my AT during this time, okay? Now, do you require an AT special request form, or ATSERF as we call it? Now, we used to need to use the @serve for a lot of different things. We've simplified that at HQ Rio, making it easy to serve. So the only time you're going to need to do split AT, or excuse me, an @serve, is if you're splitting your AT or if you're doing your AT away from home station. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, I require one because I want to show you what that looks like. You'll put in your supervisor rank and name. I'm just putting in junk. If you have reporting instructions or really anything extra that you need here, here's what that looks like. You can just open up, you can see all my training slides from all the different training stuff I've done. So here's a Word document. You can just drag and drop it. Boom. How cool is that? All right. Then you'll hit next. Okay, so now it has assigned this a subject line. That's the subject of your myPers incident. That's what your orders writer and you will see as the subject of it. This right here was an hour's worth of work this morning by our wonderful Senior Master Sergeant Chamisay to make sure that my Social Security number wasn't around. So if you are an IMA or a PIRR, you need to select your detachment. If you are an AGR or civilian or active duty assigned to Headquarters Rio, because our own members are using this system, they'll put Headquarters Rio. So I'm Det 5, which will tell this system which orders writers to send this incident to. And then it pulls up my name. Okay, so where am I going? Am I going to home station or other? I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to go to home station because I'm going to use my @serve, my special tour request form to show that I'm splitting my tour. Okay. Is it Oconus? If it says yes or no, you just put whichever one is appropriate. That's something that your orders writers need to know. And put the name of the unit. So HQ Rio. I'm stationed at Buckley. This is the unit where I'm assigned. Here's my passcode. And I'm departing from my home, which again, it's going to show me my home of record. And this is pulled from MilPDS. Next. You can try to wait through any delay here. Okay. So how long is my trip? Well, I'm going to say that I'm going to do 5 days of AT, right? So I'm going to put multi-day. Let's say I will come out here on 26 July. Oops, there we go. Oh, and this is one of the things that I think is so much clearer here, even though I made the same mistake, but it's easy to go back and check. So this is my reporting date, which is on Monday. I'm going to travel the day before. Typically you get one travel day and typically you're going to put it on the front end of your orders. I will be released from duty on July 30th. So if your end date, like if you are traveling far enough that you wouldn't get home before midnight, you think you might have to have a travel day on the back end. That's why this TDY end date might be different, but typically it's going to be the same. I live more than 400 miles away from my unit of assignment, so I fly here. I'm going to put my departure airport, which is RDU, and I'm going to fly here into Denver. You can also just type it. Oops. Well, theoretically, I could type it if I could type. Okay, because this is just providing the information to your orders writers. I find it, to me, if I know the three-letter code, that just saves them having to look it up if it's not a common one. And then we hit next. Am I doing IDTs in conjunction? In this case, I'm going to say no, but if it were yes, I would put the start and end dates. You want to make sure that those are loaded into UTAPs as well. But that you would mark the IDTs in conjunction at this point of your request. Do you require a rental car? Yes. Do you have a GTC? Yes. There is a mandatory use of government credit card, but if you need help with anything with your GTC, that's your active component unit that manages that, not the detachments and not Rio. So you need to go to them and get something cleared up if necessary. And then I will click next. I do want to show you, if you can follow along the steps of the orders request right there on that bar at the top, by the way. All right. So as I said at the beginning, I told the system I'm going to need an @serve. Okay, so read all this stuff. The @serve is approved by the detachment commander. One of the changes that we also made about the @surf is that it no longer requires your active component supervisor signature, only an acknowledgement from you that you have their approval to do whatever it is you're doing, AT away from home station or split. Okay, so here are the rules regarding splitting AT or performing at another duty location, how you can use annual tour. Okay, hit next. And so this is the information needed to fill out the special tour request form. What type of request? I'm a split tour, CONUS. So it's pulled the dates here that I put in earlier for the dates. So I'm going to do 5 days of AT. If requesting split AT, then I would put split. Basically here I'm putting the dates of the other half, the other 7 days of my AT. And you can just click the little calendar button and we'll just say I'm going to do it, I don't know, August 11th through, is that 7? Sure, whatever. And if I need another travel day, which I would, then I would put that travel day there. Okay, normally only one travel day is authorized for CONUS. Remember earlier, it asked if you were going OCONUS, and that's helpful information for them to know to calculate your travel days. Am I doing IDTs in conjunction with the first part? No. All right, and here's where you just want to let them know what's going on. Mission requirements for me to be at the unit at 2 different times, whatever. And then you can say, thanks for being so totally awesome, OWC. Okay? And then you will hit next. All right, now, earlier I told it I needed a rental car. If you've been an IMA long enough, you may have remembered the absolute pain of trying to fill out one of the old rental car requests. It was not fun, but now it's much easier. All right, so I'm doing an AT tour. So the rental car request form that happens within this myPers system, if you're doing ADOS, which is also RPA, ADT, AT, or a school tour, you'll do it here. Okay, if you're doing MPA, then you're going to this won't happen in here. Do you reside within commuting distance? No. Justification. Please annotate the justification for the rental car, if applicable. If you want anything bigger than a compact, you need to justify that as well. I need food at night. That'd be the deal here at Buckley, right? All right. Is government transportation available from the airport? So I'll give you the answers for what it is when I come here. No. Will on-base lodging be available? Yes. Is base taxi or shuttle available? No. Is U-Drive base vehicle available? Every once in a while, but usually no. Okay. And then you could just open up another tab and go to a car rental place and do a quick search, on Kayak or whatever. And you might find out, like I'm renting a car next time I come out here, I think it's $53 for a day. The weekly rate is, $268. So if I'm coming out for 5 days, I don't know if it would be the weekly rate or the daily rate, but you could calculate it on another website for a car rental request and just put this in here. So let's say it would be, $268. Okay? And that's it. You've just filled out the rental car request form. Congratulations. Next. All right. Please read before you submit your orders request. You can't see my feet right now, but they're stomping. Okay? You have got to read this stuff, my friends. They're not putting this just because it's fun. The OWC will contact you with any questions or additional requests. They'll review the orders request and then create your orders and arrows using what information you have just provided. Once they've initiated the orders and arrows, you'll be able to track the status and arrows just like you always have. That has not changed. The timing here is important for you to be aware of. For requests submitted 45 or more days prior to the start date, you can expect to see the orders routing and arrows roughly 3 to 4 weeks prior. So some of you might put your orders request in 6 months ahead of time, which is fantastic. From a budgeting standpoint, we really appreciate that. But the orders writers are not going to route them 6 months ahead of time. They're usually going to wait to about 3 to 4 weeks prior, because lots of things can change, and they're working on things in order of priority. So they're not going to work on something that's not going to happen for 6 months when they've got another, 1,000 requests of things that are happening in the next 3 weeks. For requests submitted 30 to 44 days prior to the start date, you can expect to see the order routing and arrows within 2 to 3 weeks prior to the start date. Here's what's important to know about this. If you don't want to have to deal with getting your orders approved at the last minute, aim for at least 45 days before the start of your tour and try to have your request in by then. If you wait until just 30 days out, it's because business days and the different people who have to approve these orders, you might be cutting it close, which can be a pain. Any request submitted 30 or fewer days prior to the start date will require late submission justification, which you will provide here, okay? Depending on when the request is submitted, the goal is to ensure orders are approved no later than 7 days prior to the tour start date. So late submission can impact that, because if they have questions and need information from you and don't get a timely reply, that's them waiting on you, right? This is also important right here. The OWC will make the following attempts via myPers to complete the orders request. 1, they're going to make an initial attempt to request any missing documentation. Within 14 days, they will send a follow-up if they haven't heard back from you. No later than 45 days from the submission date, if they haven't gotten a reply back from those 2 attempts, they're going to close the incident. So if you're not paying attention to your myPers incident replies and not giving them the information they need, they're just going to close the incident. Okay? A myPers message will be sent to inform you as to why the request was closed without action. Before you click submit, review your submission to ensure everything's there. Submit the required documentation. Okay? If you need to resubmit, that could delay your orders. If everything is complete, click submit. All right. So right here, you're going to say, is your request less than 30 days prior to the tour start date? If no, fine. If yes, well, we want you to tell us why you're doing this so late. And you may have a perfectly, mission-based reason for that, but we need to know. If you have any additional comments here, these are both mandatory, by the way. You will fill those in. And I am not going to hit the submit button so that my wonderful debt writers at Debt 5 don't have to deal with an incident that's for nothing. But that's it. Okay? That's all the stuff that you do. Unfortunately, if I had done this demo like 3 months ago, I would have been able to show you the sanctuary waiver because I was in sanctuary, but my R&R date is May 23rd, so I just hit my 20 years a few weeks ago. So, but it's important to know a couple of things. As I said, it's pulling all this information out of PDS. So if you are within the sanctuary window, it will show you a sanctuary statement of understanding for you to sign. If you're not, the system knows that. And so that's why nothing came up for me because, well, plus I don't think we have to do it for AT anyway, but I'm out of sanctuary anyway. All right, so that was annual tour. I just got a text from Mr. Keel who told me to submit it, but I didn't. I'll submit the next one. I'm going to do another one. Okay. Apparently the head orders writer wants me to mess with Debt 5. Okay. So I'm going to, there's really not a lot of differences with an RPA, but I'm going to go ahead and do that request so you can see what that looks like. So this is this is the second type of orders request on the quick guide. I'm an IMA. Yes, I'm still ready. Yes, I understand. Next. Actually, let's say I'm going to telecommute this RPA. And I'm going to do RPA ADOS tour. Now you'll notice there's a bunch of stuff here. So let's talk about that. All right. Orders request using reserve appropriations. That's what RPA is. The order specialist will need emailed from the organization's resource advisor with funding information, or you can submit the funding information here as an additional document if you can get it from your people. So here's the sanctuary waiver stuff, 16.5 to 20 years. It's going to ask you for a sanctuary waiver. I don't think that'll happen as we go through it since I'm past that now, but we'll see. I guess it depends if my PCARS has been updated yet. If you are carrying over leave, that has to all happen before you put your orders requests in, friends. So you need to have that leave carryover set, and you will provide that information to your orders writer. If you've got MedCon orders, you've got supporting documentation. If you have any questions about that, the awesome team at HQ Rio Medical can help you out. Okay, does this tour require a 1095 waiver? So for those of us who work a lot of full-time orders, if you are going to be going, if this set of orders is going to push you over 1095, then you need to have a waiver. So if it requires one, then I'm going to attach it. If I've already got it on file with the debt, I'll tell them that. Or I'm at, like in my case, it does not require one, okay? It's not medical hold. Do I live within 50 miles? Or are you using Rio debt funds? If you are, you're going to know. So unless you know the answer is yes, the answer is no. Okay. If you're not using Rio debt funds, they want a funding document. All right. That's why that pops up if you click yes. Are you carrying over any leave? No. If you hit yes, here's a link to the carryover guidance, and here's where you're attaching your leave carryover documentation. Okay. Do you have any reporting instructions? If you hit no, nothing happens. If you hit yes, then we would like a copy of those, please. You can upload them, and I showed you how you can just drag and drop. Is it a PCS tour of 179 or more days, or it's different for school tours? Again, if you hit yes, you need to put your travel and the names of your dependents, because they need to be on those orders. And any additional documentation. Okay. Again, like if you have funding information, now the funding information can also go here. But if there's anything else that hasn't been asked for in any of these other questions, you can always attach it in the additional documentation. We hit next. All right. Does this require a sanctuary waiver? No or yes? Maybe if I tell it yes, it'll show me. Let's try it. All right, again, put your debt so they know where to send this. I said I was telecommuting. So I would, because I actually telecommute most of my job for here, but my address, okay, and I'm departing from home, which is the same address. Next. Oops. No, it is not Oconus. Oh, 27613. Ah, it dumped stuff, or I didn't see it. One of the things I love about this, though, is like it's really easy to see when you type in something or something's missing and you need it. So maybe it didn't. Okay, travel start date. Oh, let's see. How about, so I said I'm telecommuting, so we'll start August 2nd. We'll go till the end of the FY. Oop, report date, see? It's so easy, though, to go back and just change it. I'm going to go to the end of the FY. That's the date of my release. No travel authorized, because it's a telecommute order. Okay? So for those of you doing telecommute orders, that's how you're going to do it. All right, are you doing IDPs in conjunction? No. Do you require a rental car? No, because I'm telecommuting. Yes, I have a government travel card. And hit next. All right, notice it skipped right over the @surf. Why? Because I don't need an @surf. This isn't an annual tour. Okay, I was able to just tell it and force it to show me the sanctuary waiver. So this is the sanctuary waiver, which is basically what, if you're not familiar with what a sanctuary waiver is, if you are close to, within a year or two of being eligible for retirement, there's something called sanctuary that states that if you are on orders, that you can extend to stay there, right? But the purpose of the sanctuary law is that it keeps active duty or reserve from sort of having a reason to can one of us, if you will, to keep us from getting close. So it's protection for us as the members. However, I've agreed theoretically for this orders request to do 2 months of RPA supporting my unit. So, 60 days. That's the handshake agreement we made, 60 days. So by signing this waiver, what I'm saying is I agree to leave after 60 days, that I'm not going to claim sanctuary while I'm there, because that would be rude, right? I mean, the unit has budgeted 60 days of RPA to pay me to come and do work for 60 days. That's what I agreed to. So when you sign the sanctuary waiver, that's what you're signing, okay? Okay, read and initial. I'm going to copy and paste to make it easy. Okay, you want to make sure you understand what you're signing here. And this will allow you to electronically sign the SOU, and then you hit next. Again, make sure you're reading all this stuff. I'm pencil whipping it for demo purposes. And that takes me to the end of my orders request. This is mostly the same stuff that was on there before. This is not within the 30 days. Remember, if I say yes, I need to provide justification. It will ask you to add some sort of comment here. Feel free to just go, hey, orders writers, you guys rock. Have a happy Friday. All right, I'll go ahead and submit these. Okay, so it's submitted. There's some links here. If you would like to download your sanctuary waiver, you can do that right here. If you want to download, actually, I've never done this. Let's do it. That'll be fun. Maybe it won't. See if it messes me up or not. I don't know if it comes up in a pop-up. Oh, I see. Okay, downloads as a PDF. Here we go. Always like trying something new. So here you go. This is like the paper version of what you just did. So you can save that for your records. Never a bad idea, right? If there's ever any discrepancy over what you put into the request, it's right there. Okay. There's some other guides and templates here on that you might need, and that's it. You've just put in an RPA request. But as you'll notice, it's not that much different. There are a few extra things that apply to one and not the other, which is why you have to tell it that it's a separate request. But I just find it very easy and intuitive to figure it out. All right, I'm going to move on to the routine TDY. So this is the type of orders request I would do because I'm on long-term RPA. So when I come out here to Buckley, this is the type of orders request I do. Hitting next. No. Routine TDY request. So here's what the orders writers need to know to be able to process this. Am I on an underlying tour? Yes. So what I need to do then is go into arrows to provide the tracking number, which I'm going to make up. But that allows them to find that underlying order that this TDY request would be attached to. This is where we put the funding documentation if needed, reporting instructions if needed, and any additional documentation. And then we hit next. Okay, same. We're going to tell what debt and why. This is where I tell it why I'm doing TDY. Okay, so let's say other travel, which basically encompasses everything but those other special things that are listed there. I'm going to go to my home station. It is not Oconus, HQ Rio, departing from home. Let's see, it pulls in the passcodes and all that kind of stuff. So nice. Trip duration, multi-day. Travel start date, say on the 11th. And I will port in on the 12th. And I will be done on the 16th. I will travel home that night. Commercial air. RDU to Denver. I am not doing IDTs in conjunction. I'm just going to skip this to save time. And yes, I have a government travel card. And there we go. I didn't need a sanctuary waiver, it skipped it. Didn't need an @serve, skipped it. No, blah, submit. It's like the easiest thing ever. So that's a routine TDY, which would generate a 1610. All right, I'm going to do one more. Actually, well, I may not. Oh, actually, no, I just want to show you this because it's actually kind of cool. So the last example in the quick guide is for our members who are on the critical AFSC list because they get their travel reimbursed, okay? And when I was making the quick guide, I had to call in some help because my core AFSC is public affairs, which is on that list. However, my job here is a different AFSC. It's a 16R, which is not on that list. So when I selected TDY IDT at home station, which is that's the way you request travel reimbursement for critical AFSCs, it pulls my duty AFSC right here. Okay. So it says in order for IRs to be eligible for this portion, they must possess the duty AFSC and reside outside the defined commuting limits. Well, my duty AFSC is 16R3. So when I try to do this type of order, it tells me that I can't. So if you think you should be getting this entitlement and the system tells you this, you might want to double check and make sure that you're not trying to do it with your main AFSC as opposed to your duty AFSC, because this is all pulled from what's in MilPDS. Okay, so I can't show you that one, but honestly, it's very similar to the TDY request you just saw. All right, a couple other things I want to show you on here, and we'll be near to wrapping it up. You'll notice that there are 3 other options here. Let's say I needed to do a modification, request a modification. Well, I need to give it the arrows tracking number. Okay, so if you don't have an arrows tracking number, that means that you know, let's say you change it. If you go under arrows and the tracking number for that set of orders doesn't exist, that means the orders writers haven't put it in yet, which means you don't need to request a mod because the orders haven't been cut. What you need to do is reply to the original incident and tell them that there have been changes, because since they haven't gotten to the point of putting it into arrows, there's nothing official that needs to be done. They just need to get updated information. Okay, so you would put the tracking number in, select your detachment. If you have any additional documentation for justification for a mod, if you need justification, but here's what you're going to tell them you need to do. You know, I need to change the location from, you know, Minnesota to Paris. Okay, thanks, bye. All right, and then you will hit submit. Oh, that's right. You do need to have one additional document. I showed you earlier how you can drag and drop. You can also click this and, you know, map to something that you need and either drag it or hit open and it'll add it that way. Okay. But normally you're going to need to provide some sort of reason for modification, and that's what you can do with the attachment. And then hit submit. All right. So that's how you do a mod, quick and easy, nice and trackable. If you need to cancel orders, super simple, hit cancellation request. Again, provide the tracking number, they need that. It's almost the exact same type of request form. Attach documentation, I think that's mandatory, but I'm not sure. Let's find out. Yeah, so you have to put in some sort of attachment. But you're going to ask to have the orders canceled, send that in, and then they can get those orders canceled for you. The last option on here is, let's say you're not ready to request orders, but you have questions. That is a general inquiry. Okay. If you have orders that you are asking a specific question about, you put the tracking number there. your debt. I don't know if that additional documentation is mandatory. It might be. You can, put a cartoon if there's no documentation needed. But here's my question. Okay, and it might be just a general question about, PCS entitlements or, or how orders are cut for a particular kind of thing. This is just a little random reminder to make sure that that if you're sending this in to the orders writer, that it needs to be a question about orders. Just because it's about an upcoming PCS, your question may be more of an entitlements question for Rio Pay as opposed to sending it to the orders writer. So kind of think about that before you send something in. Okay, if you try to submit, okay, so I did not add an attachment and I did not put a tracking number in because it wasn't attached to a particular set of orders. It still took my request, so you don't have to do those things. All right, I think that's, my goodness gracious. Okay, let me turn my camera back on. But that's the demo. So I'm going to scroll through the chat and see if I see any questions that would be helpful for everybody to hear. But it looks like our orders writers are working hard here. All right. Let's see. Yeah, is there a drop-down menu for MPA orders? How will long MPA orders now be done via myPers process as well? Any kind of orders that you would have put into AROSR, you're going to put into myPers now. I mean, that's really the short way of putting it. Okay. Oops, I clicked away from the chat. All right, so Michelle Gould, who's one of our amazing Debt 3 orders writers, she would like to say only one request per submission. So if you have to, and this happens to me sometimes, it turns out I've got 2 different TDY orders that I need to put in. Each one you need to create a separate incident for, okay? If you have not yet put your annual tour request in for this year, you are past the deadline. So yes, you do need an MFR. Where can we get access to recording this awesome training in the chat? So I know that the recording will be up on the website later. When the meeting is over, I'll download it. Sergeant Abrams will get it cleaned up a little bit and edited, and we will get it posted to YouTube and put that link on the website. I don't think the chat history comes with it, unfortunately, but the recording will be there. Oh, yes. Deb Robinson, thank you for asking this question because I've seen it. If you already have your orders pending in AROS, that's fine. You're just ahead of the game. It's just that from now on, any new requests need to go through the myPers system. Okay? Yeah, don't duplicate submissions. That'd be a bad thing. Oh, I don't know the answer to your question, Sergeant Williams, but your debt might be able to help you with a POC that you need. Yeah, you can save the chat history by clicking the 3 dots near the work file at the bottom. I wonder if I can do that. That's pretty cool. Hey, we have almost 200 people in here. Awesome. Yeah, I'll try to. I'm signed into the account for this, so I'll try to download the chat history. I'm sure that'd be highly entertaining for some people. What is an FCAL? That's the funding document. If your orders are paid for by other than Rio and the detachments, you'd have to tell us where that money comes from. Who can you reach out to for assistance? You can send in a general inquiry. Angela Wall, I'm seeing your question in there. A general inquiry on the myPers system itself is going to be the best thing. But before you do that, I would urge you to go through the quick guide and really kind of click around in it. I mean, you can mess around. As you notice, you can go all the way through the whole thing and then just cancel it and it doesn't submit. So if you want to play around with it and get used to it and see what other questions you might have, you can certainly do that. But if you have other questions about orders, you always should go to your debt orders writers, and you can do that via the general inquiry button from the orders request. Okay. Yeah, for AROS, login issues, you need to email them. Don't use the phone number. But that's at AFSC level. So, yeah. And Michelle points out, if you're not ready to hit submit, you can't like save as a draft. That would be pretty sweet, but you can't. So you need to have all of your stuff together. So if you want to see what information you're going to need before you submit an orders request, you can kind of go through the thing, hit, make a note of what other information you need, like, the rental car prices. If you don't want to do that at the same time, I would probably just open another tab and copy and paste. Oh, okay. We don't use eFinance. Looks like Tech Sergeant S. I think your last name got cut off. RTS for IMAs is not eFinance. We don't use eFinance at all. So if you have a travel voucher for orders that say RTS on paragraph A on the back, you will be doing a 1351-2 and submitting it through myPers. The information on that is on the HQ Real website. We are actually in the middle of putting together a quick guide for RTS submissions. Now, I will tell you this. I actually learned this the other week, and I thought this was pretty sweet, and I'm totally going to do it the next opportunity I have an RTS voucher. But I had a member who was a TR, still has access to eFinance, which I think all of us do, actually. And she used it to create the voucher and just didn't hit submit. You just print it and then use that to upload in myPers, which I thought was pretty snazzy little idea. Where do we find the MFR for AT? I will not be gained. I believe we have it on the website. Let me look real quick. Give me a second. Yep. If you go to the HQ Real website, orders, annual tour, here's the link. The MFR is linked in the paragraph. Oh, was that you, ma'am? Colonel Hayden, who gave me that snazzy tip? Yeah, I thought that was pretty sweet. I'm totally going to do that. So Captain Harrison, that link, if you look in the paragraph information, the hyperlink is there for the MFR. All right, how are we doing? We're a little over an hour. All right, let's try to see if we have any more questions coming in. Is there any automated way to officially calculate 1095 numbers instead of calling the debt and asking them? That's a cool idea, Major Rauza. As far as I know, we do not. myPers might have something, but yeah, that's a good question. We'll take it under advisement. There's a general one. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So question, and I don't know which debt, because so from Master and Laura, can you elaborate on the orders pending? I had to resubmit my orders this morning to be under the right orders type. Should I resubmit it to myPers? If you already have orders pending, you do not need to start a new thing in myPers. Okay. I'm not sure exactly what's happening on the orders that you're talking about for yourself, Master and Lara, but I would email your orders writing cell. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. And get clarification on that. They can give you a hand. So here are the biggest takeaways, guys. All right. This is not replacing the entire order system. All it is streamlining how we deliver our request, and it can vet it and make sure it's good to go, and then they put it into arrows. After that, everything is the same. Okay, so don't freak out that, that's going to change everything that we do. It's not. It's simply giving a trackable, analytical, much easier, I think, to read and use, much more user-friendly way of it, and then they put it into arrows. Quite a few months ago, when we were getting ready to kick this off for debts 2 and 3, because they've been using this system for a few months now, I think it might have been you, Michelle Gold, from debt 3. We did a screen share, and she showed me the admin panel of arrows, and holy cats, what a mess. Because, people would submit something, and then, they wouldn't provide the documentation. There's so much stuff sitting in pending that they knew would never turn into a real set of orders. This is going to eliminate that and give our orders writers a much cleaner admin space and arrows because they're only going to be looking at real orders requests that aren't a mess. Colonel Gombis, I would contact your orders writer cell if you had requested a wrong type of orders, because I don't know if that's something they can change or if you have to start over. Michelle or the Det 5 orders writers might be able to answer your question on that. So your Det commander, you can, Jolene, your question for the signature blocks. All of the Det information, here. I love it when I can copy and paste stuff. Let me, this is a good thing for me to show you guys. Hold on. Let's share screens again. Oh my gosh, Senior Master Sergeant Chamisay is my hero today. Hands down. All right, when you go to the HQ Rio website, under the About menu, and you know what, I made this smaller earlier, hold on, to make a screenshot. Okay, see detachments? So if I'm Det 5 and I want to know people's information, look, there's Colonel Reyes and there's Chief Brannock, who I think is in the training today. So here's your information to make some signature blocks from, okay? But you also have, by the way, your orders writers email if you need to email them. Of course, we're trying to push everything to myPers, so I would recommend myPers. But all of your detachment information is right here, and it's also on the app, on the main part of the app. Okay. Det CC and Rio Rep. Yeah, I haven't looked at that MFR in a long time, so I'm honestly not quite sure. All right. So we're going to leave this meeting open for a little bit so that you can get any other questions answered. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Singh. I appreciate it. And God bless Lieutenant Colonel Singh. This is his 4th day of putting up with me because he just went through the virtual IRO too. So I think it's time for a break. Poor fella. Okay. One of the things he just said in his comment is this new system will make it easier for IRs. I truly believe that. It's always, and Michelle, maybe you can pipe in the comments, but you know, when I was working with Mr. Keel and we were getting DETs 2 and 3 ready to do this, there was a lot of trepidation about switching to a new system and what seemed like might be more work for the OWC, right? Because, well, now they have to put in all these requests. But it's packaging these requests in these nice, tight little trackable incidents and making their the back end so much easier for them to use that it's, you know, if you have any trepidation about this new system, you can talk to anybody in DETs 2 and 3, including the orders writers, and I think they will give it a 2 thumbs up. I certainly think it's cool, and I'm just because I can at some point, I'm totally going to put in an orders request on my phone, like maybe sitting out at the beach, just because I can, because it's myPers. All right. So thanks again so much for being here. As I said, I'm going to leave the meeting open so that the chat can keep going. Although it looks like our questions have sort of gone down a little bit, which is good. And I just realized it always turns off my video after I screen share. Sorry about that. Yeah, Michelle says some DET 3 members did freak out at first, but they're comfortable with it now. Yeah. So, so just so you know, this starts Monday. You know, you're going to be helping your DET and helping your orders writers out if you use this myPers system. Michelle, are you guys sending a message back on the myPers incident when the orders are approved? Oh, I'm sorry. I can answer that question myself. Oh, do you? Well, and also keep in mind, Captain Dickens, that in Arrows, you can go in and put a personal email in your profile. And if you do that, you will get an email to your personal email when they're either approved or disapproved. Okay. So, yeah. But, oh, I lost my train of thought. I was going to tell you something. I'm sure it was really important. Highly entertaining. I don't remember. But yeah. If you've got any questions, like, oh, I know what I was going to say. this kicks off, well, we keep saying Monday, but I mean, you can go in and do it now. Obviously, I was just on myPers doing it in front of everybody. It is not technically mandatory, i.e., if you haven't gotten the memo and you submit, now, not all of you need to actually use it because you were here, but there are some members that are hard to get a hold of who may put their request into Arrows. There's going to be that sort of gray area window for a little bit, but at some point, myPers, which it already is for debts 2 and 3, the myPers submission is mandatory. So if those members try to put it into Arrows, they get a kickback telling them to, that those are going to be canceled and try again. They need to put it into myPers. Oh, so if I sent out emails one last week about this training, and then I sent out one last night and resent to people who didn't open it this morning. I use a system called GovDelivery for that. The way I get those emails is from the Alpha roster, and this is personal emails. The way that those get on the Alpha roster is by you putting it into virtual MPF. So if you aren't getting the Rio Buzz, which is about every 2 to 3 weeks, or training announcements in your personal email, then you either don't have a personal email in virtual MPF, which flows to MilPDS, which flows to the Alpha roster, or they're being blocked. The GovDelivery ones don't get blocked as much because they come from a .com. But that's how you get on that list, Captain Harrison. That's a great question. Right now, go onto virtual MPF and make sure that your personal email is in that system. It'll probably take 2 or 3 days to flow over if it's not. And then at the beginning of every month, we pull a fresh Alpha roster of IRs, and then I pull a fresh email list from that. And then I try to, not always, but I try to send them out to .mils through myPers, but there's a delay on that. So like the last minute reminders, like last night and today, those were done only on GovDelivery.
Lieutenant Colonel Call, can you hear me?
Oh, okay. I can.
Okay. Hey, this is Adam Kill with Headquarters Rio OWC. Just wanted, there was a couple comments that or questions that I think got lost in the shuffle. So on the late AT memorandum, this year that's been delegated to the debt commander. So if members are submitting late requests after 31 May, that memorandum will go straight from the member and get approved from the actual debt commander. So that was delegated this year to the debt commander this year. The other part is a lot of the metrics and data point of being able to submit via myPers, it's allow us to paint a picture to show how long it's actually taking to process requests. So when the orders writers at the detachment saying, hey, we need requests as soon as possible because 30 days in advance, we're able to back the timeline it takes for these to process. If all of a sudden we see that it only takes 21 days or whatever, that expectation can maybe be adjusted to where, we need them 21 days in advance, but we're actually being able to provide that data to Colonel Bailey so she can inform the URCs, the members and everything of what it's truly actually taking the process. And prior to myPers, we didn't have that data to even help her to make those informed decisions. So the metrics and data points that we're able to pull now for like debt 2 and 3 and the Rio staff has been amazing. So once we get all Rio on board, this is going to just take it to the next level on getting a lot of those different metrics and data points as well. So just wanted to share that too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Keel. That's our head of our orders writing cell. They are actually doing a group training right now. That's sort of one of the reasons we picked this time to do this. They're getting all of them caught up on this new system as well. Yeah, it looks like there was a question about emails, whether you need a whitelist or not. And yeah, it depends if certain emails, sometimes certain email providers, like Yahoo or your Outlook or whatever, every once in a while they'll get hinky with .mil extensions. So it's always a great idea to just put it on the whitelist and force it. This is not junk. Make sure I get it. All right. Any other questions? Oh, okay. So Captain Harrison was getting clarification. He could basically delete the Rio designated rep signature block because it only needs to be signed by the debt CC, correct? For that MFR? Yep, okay, good deal. All right. Well, like I said, I'll go ahead and leave this up for just a little bit in case other people have questions, but I think you've probably looked at me enough and heard my voice enough. So I'm going to sign out. We will get this video downloaded, and I'll try to download the chat and put that up there too. But yeah, take a look at the RIO website, use the quick guide. We are happy to help you because it actually helps us a lot if you guys know what you're doing, right? So anyway, happy Friday, everybody. Thank you so much. We will let you know when we have another virtual training hopefully soon.